to them.
Dude, I'll
give them a gifted sum.
I'm glad that they were willing to play along.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be back. Well, no, I won't be back, but I'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is that she caught on to our jokes real fast, too.
Except that they actually...
And now, we're gonna read part 2 of the Patty fanfic, titled Daddy Bear. For those of you that are new, this is a fan fiction based on the Trash Can Kids and myself. I will be reading in the voice of Michael, a noir detective that has a gritty past and is struggling with a love for a corpse. That was the last number I had to punch. So when I went home to my fiancée, where she had a steak, baked potatoes, and a glass of wine, I knew she was a doll. And I'm sure she was happy to see me. But with Patty in my head, I wasn't happy to see anyone. But I was a cop. I had to keep it together. So I nodded in all the right spots and made sure that the dame was happy. We made love later that night, and all I could see was him lying there in that bed with his cowboy boots, his tied-up checkered shirt, and his midriff glistening in the light. I wondered what he was like when he was alive, and maybe we could have been something together in this crazy world. I imagined him in a pink bathrobe walking through his house, imagined him climbing into my lap and pressing his lips against mine, and that was enough to get me there. Afterward, Shayna and I shared a cigarette in bed, and she talked about the wedding and the plans coming up, but I couldn't think of anything else but that house and what lay in it. And I knew I needed to know more about this Brandon because he had the answers, even if I didn't like the fact that he was involved with Patty in a sensual way. I smoked half a pack before I knew it. I got up and drank a bit of brandy and stared out of our window. We lived a 2-story deal, street side in a neighborhood where everyone smiled a little bit too much for me. The lag? What are you talking about? Okay. Where was I? Okay. We lived in a 2-story street deal side. In a neighborhood where everyone smiled a little too much for me. I was a storm to their summer day. And now there was an even deeper storm brewing. And I didn't know what would be left after. If I could have looked ahead in time, I would have done things differently. But I didn't. Instead, I finished my drink, pulled off my socks, and sock suspenders. Shayna said I looked like a real businessman when I wore them. So I wore them a lot. When I did sleep, I dreamed of nothing but him, that I was back in that room, naked, and he was there, propped up on his elbows, awake and alive. And he looked at me with those heavy eyelids, and he told me that I couldn't touch him, that he wasn't there anymore. But I came closer, and he didn't try to stop me. Instead, he told me to find this Brandon. So I knew that was my next step. The next day, I told the captain I had to do some follow-up investigations, which I did for about 5 minutes, as a few minor cases. I got those out of the way and headed back to the mansion. Everything was where I left it. Everything except everything was in a warm glow in the morning sun. I sat down in a reading chair in the bedroom, drank my coffee, and ate a donut as I watched the sun catch the tip of Patty's eyelashes. They looked gold and red in the sun, and I couldn't help but get up and touch his cold face once again. After breakfast together, I did some digging through the house and found Patty had an affinity for hard liquor and Little Debbie snack cakes. A man after my own heart. But I found Brandon's address as well. It was on the other side of town in an apartment complex where people that hated this town would buy, thinking they wouldn't stay long. But they always did. This town had a way of getting in your bones like cancer. The only way to get rid of it is to die. And he was on the 4th floor. When he opened up the door, I flashed my badge and his eyes locked onto it. It gave me enough time to hide my sneer on my face, keeping it professional. "What's this about?" Brandon asked. "I swear I've been here all night." "Won't you let me in?" I asked. "We'll talk inside." And of course he let me in. Who could say no to a cop? Though the apartment complex was run down, his place had class. Nice bookshelf set in the living room walls. A sink full of just used dishes, and Brandon took a seat at the kitchen table. Before him was a massive breakfast. This man, I knew how to cook. "You want some?" he asked. "I'll pass," I replied. "I've got a few questions." Brandon took a bite out of his pancakes, wiped his mouth, and swallowed it down with a tall glass of milk. "What's Patty done this time?" "What makes you think this is about Patty?" "Anytime there's a knock on my door, it's either my parents, Patty, or somebody looking for Patty." "So you're saying he came here often?" "What do you mean, came?" Brandon asked, looking annoyed. "I'd say he'll be here later." "Patty's dead, Brandon." Oh God." He grabbed his head with his hands. His fork fell to the ground and he got up from the table, walked into the living room, grabbed a few things off the coffee table and started for the door. "Where are you going?" I stood in front of him. "There's no use going anywhere. I need to see him, to see if it's true." "It's true, as I replied. "We had our differences," Brandon said. "Was a little rough when we had a bad day. I'd have to sit on bags of peas for days afterwards. But he didn't deserve to die." "He's gone," I confirmed. "What? Did he at least look beautiful?" Brandon asked. I couldn't keep it completely together. I could feel my eyes fill with tears, and the facade that I was holding was starting to crumble. This man knew Patty like I didn't, but we both knew that he was beautiful. "Yes," I said, "the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "He was a monster sometimes," Brandon said, standing before me. "Aren't we all?" I replied. He fell into my arms and wept, and I held him. I wept too, and our bodies heaved together in sorrow. He was sorry he had lost a lover, and I was sorry that I never had a chance to taste the forbidden fruit of that ginger-haired creature. Somehow I knew it was going to happen, what happened next, and so did he. But we stopped crying at some point and started kissing. I thought about protesting, but I wanted to know why Patty had come to Brandon so much. It didn't take long to get me naked, and he threw me on top of the table. Pancake syrup splashed on my body, and he smirked. "This is the kind of sweets I like to have." We shared the remaining cigarettes after. "Who killed him?" Brandon asked. "I don't know," I replied. "I thought it was you. It could still be you." "It wasn't me," Brandon said. "I worked all night doing lewd drawings. It's my job to draw naked people." "You can draw me sometime," I said. "But I've got no leads. and I held up the foxtail. Just this fucking foxtail. Fucking furries, he replied as he pulled the sheets off of him. Furries! Patty and I would crash conventions all the time and ruin their fun. Brandon sighed. He had such hate for them that it even scared me at times. Do you know if any of them would want to hurt him? I asked. I could feel the anger rising again. One, because Brandon had shared something with him. The other, that whatever these furries were, one of them could have hurt Patty. There's only one that was always ruining their plan. We were always ruining their plans. Brandon rolled over, and I didn't let him finish talking. I took him one more time. Right as I should. Afterwards, he gave me the name while I was dressing. Her name was Madison, but her furry name was Sparkle Husky Power Howl. Sparkle Husky Power Howl, that's what I said. We'd been at it all day. Even after I showered at his place, I still smelled like pancakes and sex. Will you call me? He asked, running his fingers over my lips. Not a chance. I lied. As I closed the door behind me, I could already hear a whimper. I understood why Patty went there. There was something alluring and forbidden with Brandon. And I was sure that if I made it through this, he'd be hearing me soon. But right then, I had a furry to arrest. Alright, that was part two. That was part two. Next time we'll do, you know, part three's coming. Part three's coming. I don't know how long it will be, but it'll show up. It'll show up, and it will be good. It'll be good. I think. That was a little fucking hard. I want you to know that now. It was a little hard. I don't know. But you know, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope it made you feel as dirty as I did, 'cause goddamn, that was bad. So Annabeth or Pink, if you're here, we want you to be our friend. Like, I'm sorry that you may have witnessed that, but we will find you somehow. We will find you, and we will force you to be friends with us. It will happen. It will happen. For the rest of you, thanks for playing with me as always. Thanks for being an internet bully. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.